Hello, and welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thank you very much for tuning in and joining me as I explore the amazing, incredible wide world of pens. And you see a worthy one rotating in front of you. Yes, I recently got a new PenBBS pen. And yes, it's a model I have already, and it's a color I have already, but when I saw this for sale, I said Hawaii, not a very common resin. I only have one other pen in Hawaii, but I also have a pen roll stop here in Hawaii, which is holding up the pen on the rotating turntable for your visual enjoyment. And my pen friends are looking on and going, yeah, that's different. And the crab is saying, let me. So with that, we're going to explore this pen, talk about why I ended up buying it, compare it to a bunch of other PenBBS pens, and talk about their visual entertainment value. And this pen certainly ranks up amongst that. And also it's a very functional piston filler that works consistently well. Stay tuned. So the pen arrived in this very familiar box. Yes, Hawaii is color 27. The model is 495 for the new piston filler. As we can see here in English, it says Hawaii. And this is just kind of like an ID number, reference number, which they started adding a few years ago. The sleeve just slides off to reveal a box that we've seen for many, many years. Nice, subtle PenBBS embossed there in the cover. Red and black, magnetic closure. You open it up and you'll see something I think has been a nice addition recently. Filling instructions, which for those of us that are not familiar with filling the pen, it goes through and tells you that. And this is a 2022 model. And on the reverse side is the same instructions in Chinese. The pen comes in a nice foam here, nice cellophane sleeve, and the pen really looks good. That's all I can say. It's a good looking pen. So the questions that you might ask yourself is, Chris, did you need another PenBBS pen? And the answer is no. I have almost 200 of them, so certainly not a small amount. But I love this Hawaii resin, and it's not really available that often. So when I saw this, and I do like the piston filler here, as much as I'm not a fan of the way they flared out the top, it is certainly a design element. And the other thing I noticed that's always been good about the Hawaii pens is the blue, the yellow, and the blue. When you take off the cap in a little bit over 1 1/4 turns, you'll see this resin. They matched up the section color with the barrel color and matches up to what there's on the cap. So I think that's really nice that they did that. And the other thing that's good, we'll bring in the LED. I think you can see that piston in there. You turn the knob, the piston goes down. Very smooth operation, consistently good, unlike the 309, which is notoriously bad. And I have just a standard fine PenBBS nib. I haven't gotten one of these in a while. You see the little upturn there. So we'll be figuring out a suitable ink and ink this mother up and put it through its paces. So obviously we need to compare it to my 309 in Hawaii. And when I got this pen out of the drawer, which it had been sitting in for a long time, that piston was totally stuck. I had to take the section out, take the blind cap off, and push the piston out through the front end of the barrel by using a rod and a hammer. Once I got it out, I silicone greased everything, pushed it back in, and now it kind of works. Well, kind of works. As you can see, it worked a day ago, but just sitting for a day, it's gotten stuck again. So that's the life of 309s. And I silicone grease cleaned, did everything I could to make that piston work. As you can see, the yellow in the 309 is not as intense or as saturated as the yellow in the 489 or 495. Model numbers are hard to keep track. But if you take off the cap on the 309, you'll see they did the same thing where they matched the section color against the barrel color, so it's a really nice color transition, and also matches up to the way the transition works in the cap. Matches up even better than the 495 did. So that's for comparisons. So here's my other 495 in Aurora, which I like the resin, and I wanted the resin was more transparency to it, so I could see the piston filler mechanism, and it's this nice red, which is masked by the color of the resin in the Hawaii model. Nice small cap ring, which I really like. Same sword clip. So that's the fun part about PenBBS, is you can get a number of different models with a wide range of colors, resins, styles, etc., etc. So visually you can find something that appeals to you, and they all write well in my experience. I've assembled these PenBBS pens to show the different colors that they put together with this cracked ice, I would call that, resin. We have the two Hawaiis, the new one, the 308. Here's a 308 in Dreamland, I think. Here's a 308 in a similar resin, blues and yellows, but no white. Here's a yellow here in the Hawaii, which is much yellower than the yellow in the 308. So the resin does change and evolve over time. And then we have Autumn, which I have 3 pens here in Autumn, which I really like because it adds green, yellow, and red. Here's Sunset, which is really nice also. But that's not all, because there are more in this cracked ice design that PenBBS has used, at least in the ones that I have. A red, one of these is called Silence. I forget what the other one's called, but you know, it just goes to show you the variety of these colors, and that's what really attracted me, besides the writing and the design and the manufacturing and the build. But I just love all the colors that they put in their pens. And yes, how can we not forget the roll stops that they made out of that resin? This is a Hawaii roll stop. I think we just need to focus in a little bit on these interesting resins so you can appreciate them for what they are. You know, you have to admire, like I said, PenBBS for creating these varieties. I don't know where they source their resins from. There was some discussion that it could have been from the United States or from outside of China. And some of these resins have made it into other pen makers, but not all of them. I think Hawaii was pretty much an exclusive of PenBBS. Yeah, beautiful colors. I like them. So you may ask, how do you keep your 309s functional? Well, here's a good example of one with a clear barrel. And I keep the piston halfway in between being totally up or totally down. You can see that cap is slightly off. So the first turn is to bring it up, and that seems to free the piston. And once the piston is freed, it moves easily. But the trouble is, if you leave it stuck there, you don't have any leverage, because when you turn this, it doesn't push it down. So we're going to leave it halfway down like I do with all the other 309s that I have. So when I do want to ink it up, the piston should work. So after a little bit of fiddling with it, I didn't have to take it apart. I got the piston freed, and now it moves up and down like it should. So I'm going to learn from my lesson is I'm going to leave it in that halfway position. So my first turn is to bring it up, and that usually frees it up. So live and learn, as they say. So I've darkened the room, and we're going to bring in the trusty LED just to give you a little bit of a different look at this Hawaii resin. Yeah, cracked ice really shows up in the green and the blue. I say green, but it is yellow. But you figure that yellow and blue together and make green, so that may explain some of that tone that you see in some of the parts of the pen. I wanted a green ink in the Hawaii pen. Haven't used this in a pen yet. And I noticed there might be a little bit of glitter in the ink. I think it may actually show through on some of the writing samples, but it's very subtle. Here's what it looks like on the paper towel. I'd say it's a pretty nice green, and there seems to be some blue there. Could be some contamination, who knows. Certainly not I. And here's what it looks like on Toma River paper. Yeah, I bought a bunch of inks from Temu, and this was one of them. Very affordable price. I did a video on it. I'll give you a link to the video review. This nib writes well, as you probably heard, smooth on this paper. It lays down a nice line. This ink is on the light side, the Jinhao Green Bamboo, but I like the green color. It has a little bit of shading, just to add some character to it. No other characteristics, but sometimes you just want a green ink, and this certainly meets that criteria. Yeah, I could do some smoothing, I could do some 7 strokes to happiness to increase flow, but you don't always want a lot of flow. This way I can write on almost any paper and it'll write fine, which is an advantage sometimes that you need. So you may ask, how does a medium nib write? And this is a medium nib that I have in my other 495. So it's a medium nib, and I like it. And this is a PenBBS ink, Mentha Aquatic. As you can see, it's definitely a medium line. I do like this color. It is in the green family. It's put down as a nice line. So I don't know whether the 495-27 is available in a medium nib. Yeah, we'll look and let you know. But just so you can see the difference in how they write. This one certainly feels smoother on the paper, but that's to be expected because it has more tipping material on it. There's no upturn, but that tipping material on the PenBBS rounded medium nibs is excellent. I have a number of those, and they're all great writers. So now we're into the editorial part of the review. So this pen met my expectations in every level. Visually, the way that it writes, you know, I knew because I had a 495 how it would feel, but now I have an Hawaii one. And yes, I think that green ink adds to that green color that you see inside the barrel. It is full of ink, so that explains that change. My brain's not really working at full capacity. Very seldom does, but today is one of those days. So should you buy this pen? Yeah, a question a lot of people ask, and the question is answered by if you want to. The price is good. You know, it is a unique pen. If you don't have something like this in your collection, this certainly would be something to add. And like I say, it writes good for a fine nib. Chinese fine, yeah. I would say it's really more close to a Western fine than a Japanese fine. And it lays down a nice patch of ink. That's what a pen's for. So with that, we're going to come to the closing. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. I hope this video finds everyone safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, inks, papers, using your pens to transfer some ink down on some type of surface, because that's what they're hopefully designed to do. So with that, we've reached the end, and we will say bye. I have a few more pens in the pipeline, as you may know.